What's up, you guys? Joe Dobby here. I am now a Deck Out Gaming affiliate. Use Joe Dobbs Deck Out at checkout. Deck Out Gaming has tons of singles for Pokemon, Dragon Ball Super, and Digimon TCG, as well as One Piece. They now buy list as well, so don't hesitate to reach out, and they got your back. Really high customer service ratings. Thank you guys, and yeah, let's get to the video. What's up, you guys? Joe Dobby here with another video for you today. We are actually going to be discussing the only card that ended up being restricted, and it's effective April 1st. It is BT11 Greymon x-antibody. We're gonna go over, for those that don't know, aren't hyper competitive, we're gonna go over why your Black War Greymon X deck seemed to have been forsaken, and how you could kind of still build the deck, and some of the upside to the Black War Grey X that is still a positive note, and going over the how the meta will pretty much potentially be shaped. This is just my opinion, so if you guys have other opinions in the comments, let me know. If you like the video, if things make sense, please hit me with a like, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. But very quickly, I just want to say that a lot of the disappointment, I think, comes from people really wanting a few cards hit, and they were really expecting a list. I know I was expecting a list, but I think that really stems from us referring to restricted cards, bans, as a ban list, a restricted card list. So we almost kind of give it the expectation or the assumption that it's going to be a list, but in this case, it is only one card. If we look at the top 32 decks that had actually placed at Nationals, we don't see a good amount of the other decks that we are pretty much worried about. And one of the decks that we are worried about that had been an answer to Black War Grey X doesn't even run cards like Cool Boy or X-Antibody. So we'll briefly dive into this ban first, or this restriction, effective April 1st. So this card is very good because it reduces the cost of a Greymon being digivolved over this Greymon, or a Greymon in its name, by 2, which makes it insane. Because then you have a lot of these Metal Greymon cards, especially the one that de-digivolves 1 and effectively deletes a rookie for 4. It becomes a 2 cost. So now, at half the cost, you're looking at a de-digivolve, which is one of the most powerful effects in the game, in my opinion. Especially given that I'm a purple player and play Mervamon. Like, if you de-digivolve my Ignitemon, that's just sad times. Or my Merva into an Ignite. And you can keep turn with that, and a lot of your top-end Digimon have Blitz. So there's almost no downside to being able to pass your memory to 5, de-digivolving what could be a blocker, deleting what could be a floodgate, and swinging for multiple checks at a time. And with X-Antibody, that Digivolution could even allow you to Digivolve into a level 7 potentially, which is really insane off that Blitz effect. So there are a lot of things that make this deck very unstoppable from that standpoint. Obviously, it's a little bit of a slower deck. You have to search for your pieces and find it, which is why I think Bandai didn't outright ban the card and just limited it to 1. That way you can kind of play your way through the motions and try to get this card, find this card for your final stack, not necessarily your first one. So if your opponent answers that, you can come back in a quicker fashion. And that is kind of the hope that I'm seeing for Black War Grey X. In addition to that, you can play Promo Deltamon, or you can play the old Greymon X-Antibody. And in the future, we will have more Greymon X-Antibody, so there isn't really that much to worry about, in my opinion. There is also BT12 Metal Greymon that will be coming out, and I think Bandai is just ensuring that the deck is somewhat balanced moving into BT12. Next, we're gonna go into the other decks. How does Grandis Kuwagamon play out here? So Grandis Kuwagamon doesn't necessarily change all too much because of the lack of a restriction on what I thought would have been a fair restriction, which is I think it's the Promo Akuamon that gives a blanket effect of lose 1 memory when your opponent when your opponent's Digimon gets suspended. And there's a couple of reasons why I wanted that promo Akuamon to hopefully be restricted to 1. Once again, it's all about reducing Digivolution costs and all about the fact that you're losing memory instead of gaining memory. So because your opponent is losing memory and you're not gaining memory, floodgates don't work, which means that even if your opponent has no means to answer that memory loss and gain on their side, which makes it very difficult because you already have cards like Weedmon that you run at 4 that exist that give you a memory off being digibursted. And Grandis Coagamon can very easily get there from 3 memory because I believe, unless it's the same card, you're reducing Grandis's Grand Coagamon's cost by 2 off an Evo. And even if you had to pay the full 3, Weedmon will gain you the 1 to go into Grandis, which is why I think that that promo Akua I wished would have been pretty much like reduced to 1. That way, Green would have a higher potential to kind of try to find itself, because once it finds itself, it's only losing to removal. Like hard removal in security is the only thing Green would lose to. And even then, with the presence of Mimi, you can bring up a rookie to swing for game if you've swung for all the checks and had that Grandis removed. You can hard drop a floodgate, and if your opponent can't answer the floodgate, that's your winning check. So just all of that in general makes Grandis still very good, which is why I'm not surprised by the current stonks and the current increase in prices that we are seeing. Next, we're going to go into Metal Garurumon X. So, people think that with the reduction of Greymon x-antibody, Metal Garurumon will go unchecked. I don't think that is the case at all. There are other cards you can be playing. In addition to that, Metal Garurumon X, if they miss a step, they are forced to raise that Digimon, which means if they're going to be forced to raise that Digimon, you can easily de-digivolve that still, passing turn and potentially deleting something, or like a rookie searcher, whatever. Which is why I think that, you know, the Metal Greymon that has the de-digivolve and delete something is just super powerful, to the fact that if your opponent can't find a missing piece and they're forced to raise their Digimon, you can easily punish. Even when you're past turn, if you start at 3, you're passing them to 1. So even then, their answer is less so, or potential, unless they have a memory setter. And to my knowledge, Metal Garurumon X does not run that many memory setters, if any at all. And the only card I would have wanted to see reduced in Metal Garurumon X would have been actually the promo Were Garurumon. A lot of people were kind of thinking we need to, you know, ban or limit Were Garurumon X antibody that has the unsuspend at 8k, that has the bounce at level 4, etc. But the way I see it is if you reduce the promo, you're preventing its own unsuspend. You're preventing a very easy way in the deck to get security attack +1, forcing your opponent to play other things, like the Were Garurumon that has security attack +1 when your opponent has a Digimon without a Digivolution source, right? So that makes it harder, at least, to meet the condition of sec +1, because we have sources now. We can play around that very easily. X-antibody will easily limit that if you only have 1 Digimon on the board, because you can't trash a source, right? So I would have hoped to see the promo Were go to 1, but because it's not, I mean, I have my playsets, so if you guys want to buy some, anyways. But Metal Garurumon X will still struggle through the same things. Once the Black War Grey X gets into that redirect, and you have that protection from the old Greymon X antibody, you can just redirect, crash, and there you go, right? There's your problem. In addition to that, Metal Garurumon X, like Grandis, struggles because it has no protection, unlike War Grey X and Black War Grey X, when they are hitting option cards in security. And one of the biggest weaknesses to security bombs like Beelstarmon, Mastemon, and Security Control was this Greymon X antibody BT11, because now you can use the promo Metal Garurumon that protects you by trashing 2 sources, and this Greymon X that protects you by trashing an X antibody. So you had almost 1 to 3 layers of protection in 2 different ways when this was run at 4. Now that it's run at 1, you could potentially protect yourself in the same fashion, but it would it would be countered by source removal, or at least you have a greater answer, at least in my opinion. It's easier to answer, especially with the fact that that cost reduction will be kind of very hard limited. You can at least force the Greymon player to pass turn and then have an answer to what could be their double protection, like Beelstar, answering one stack. So that's how I see it currently. Crossheart's gonna do its thing, that's fine. People wanted either Cool Boy or X-antibody option to be limited or restricted. The reason why they didn't do that probably is just because they're probably giving it till BT12, because there are X-antibody cards that will be released in BT12, and I think also some in EX, the next EX set. So I think those are cards that are just designed so well that they need to stay. They can't find or redesign the card in a way that is a little bit more balanced per se. And I'm not saying so well designed that it's a balanced card. It's actually well designed that it's too good, is what I'm trying to refer to. Because Cool Boy just breaks this Black War Gray X deck, because now you have a Greymon X that reduces costs and you gain memory off Cool Boy, and it helps you find your X antibodies, and if you have X antibody then you're protected. It's just absolutely such an amazing card in this deck specifically. But in other X antibody decks that play it, they're not in the meta, like Alphamon, right? Metal Garurumon X plays Cool Boy. Grandis does not play Cool Boy as much, if any. But even then, Cool Boy Metal Garurumon X, there's no cost reduction into the level 5 spot with Metal Garurumon X. You're still forced to have a Cool Boy to pass turn if you put him to 1 or 2 memory at a time and they don't have a memory setter or hammer spark, right? So there is still that opportunity to pass that 1 turn, and it's that 1 turn as a purple player that I've always been short of against Black War Gray X, because they can just get there, and then even at 5 memory, if your whole board's gone and you don't have anything in raising, you are very hard punished. But yeah, that X antibody option, I think, just has such good use in the future that they probably are not going to limit that. In addition to that, nobody's playing 4 X antibody. If anything, they were playing 3 because of Greymon X antibody, and now that it's limited to 1, they're probably just going to play 1 or 2. So it limits itself, it's self-limiting, because the limiting reagent, chemistry term, is the Greymon X antibody. So the option card will just naturally be played less copies in this deck specifically. Cool Boy in general will, in my opinion, always be amazing. And it's a surprise, but at the same time, you can get away with it. Cool Boy is not a Digimon. It can't get into a hybrid. So that's what matters right now. It's a very sticky board state. Your bodies have to stay for main advantage. And if you're passing turn playing a Cool Boy and I can just drop a scatter mode on you and that scatter can't get de-digivolved and you're forced to delete it, I'm good. And if you don't delete it, I swing at security, So not too bad. But that is pretty much my main thoughts on this. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and peace.